Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the spring campaign for Arkham Horror, the card game. First of all, I'm going to offer advance apologies on how my voice sounds. Something seems to be acting up, whether it's a hay fever, a cold, or we're playing musical temperatures again and that triggered something. Of course, working in an office like I do, there's plenty of crap going around at any given time. I was also getting tested for COVID, and I just got the results just as I was getting ready to film, and I tested negative, so it's not that, thankfully. But anyway, minor ramblings about my voice aside, earlier this week we ventured to Miskatonic University on some extracurricular activity and picked up 2 experience, but we couldn't recover Professor Warren Rice. Plus, given that this is the first scenario we're coming out of, we're going to have 2 free level 0 swaps for each investigator, and that's according to my new house rule, where after the first scenario, or a scenario where I get 0 experience, I'm going to give myself 2 level 0 swaps for free. But anyway, that's according to that's the house rule again for you. So as the lead investigator from the first scenario, let's jump into upgrades, and we'll jump into upgrades of the lead investigator from the last scenario, Daisy. Hello, Daisy. You drew through your deck like crazy and somehow didn't manage to draw the Necronomicon, and that's without accounting for that last 5-card mill from the Arcane Barrier. Also, you did a phenomenal job at gathering clues like I expected, but Stella didn't exactly slouch in that department either. Anyway, looking towards upgrades and swaps, you did manage to translate the tome, but 2 experience won't let us do anything about upgrading from that. For upgrades, we're going to keep it simple and bump up one of her deductions to level 2. Now, we've made this upgrade before, but for the benefit of anybody who is brand new to the channel, let's go ahead and take a quick look at deduction level 2. So, deduction level 2. The upgrade here is an additional lore icon, and if you're successful while investigating a location, you discover 1 additional clue at that location, 2 instead if you succeed by 2 or more. And as we saw, Daisy was usually up by at least, I would say, between 2 and 4 in each location she was investigating. But anyway, as far as the free level 0 swaps are concerned, Rite of Seeking just feels like overkill in the clue department, and Seleno Fragments really didn't do anything for us in the deck. It eats a hand slot without even having an action on it that we could use for free. Remembering Daisy's special ability, we get an extra action that we can take, and we can use that to trigger any action abilities on tome assets we control. So with that, I also do have some memories of last year's summer campaign where I wished I'd built Carolyn a little more with self-defense, but not kind of overkill, if that makes sense, trying to strike the balance. But anyway, with that memory in mind, we're going to give Daisy a little bit more self-defense options, and we're going to give her a couple bombs, and I've got a plan. So we're going to give her 2 copies of this, and just as a recollection, I've got a plan as a 3 cost to play. Lore and combat on commit. This lets you fight. This attack uses lore, and you deal +1 damage for this attack per clue you have to a max of 3. So we'll go ahead and take the Rite of Seeking and Seleno Fragments out. And as always, once I'm all done with these upgrades, I'll get the deck lists upgraded in the description down below. But anyway, that will do it for Daisy. Now let's go pay Stella a visit. Hello, Stella. For an all-rounder, you performed well. Being able to hold that thrall at bay for so long to finish the scenario in the dormitories was a masterpiece. Unfortunately, we're not likely to have that same luxury later in the campaign, so we need to go further into combat options, and we're going to use Stella's free level 0 swaps in that direction. Now, Grimm's Fairy Tales doesn't look that good to me at first glance, and the way I see it, if you're failing a skill test by 2 or more, you're already suffering pretty dire consequences, and healing 1 horror from that usually isn't enough of a swing to recover from the results of the failed test. Plus, you have to exhaust Grimm's Fairy Tales and spend a secret, so you only get 4 uses of that, and only once per round, basically. Granted, you do also get the extra action from the failure, but you also only get that once per round. So again, probably not enough of a what's the phrase I want? Probably not enough of a benefit to justify the deck slot. So with that, we're going to swap out both of the Grimm's Fairy Tales for baseball bats. So let's take a quick look at Baseball Bat. Baseball Bat is a 2-cost to play, combat on commit. Takes up both hand slots as well. As an action, fight. You get +2 combat for this attack and deal +1 damage. But if you reveal a skull or tentacle during the attack, discard Baseball Bat after the attack resolves. So granted, it is a 1 in 5 chance, at least with the current state of the bag, to break the bat. But again, we need more combat options in a class as limited on them as Survivor. So we'll go ahead and show off the revised core art real quick as well. But anyway, there are the baseball bats. So we also need experience to get her into more advanced combat options, but we don't have the experience to do that now for only 2 experience. 2 experience will let us upgrade one of the 18 Derringers to level 2. So let's take a look at that. So we gain an agility icon on commit, another ammo, and we get 2. And if we fail, we still place an ammo on the 18 Derringer. And the next time we trigger the ability, we get an additional +1 combat for that action. We still take up just the 1 hand slot, but anyway. So we're going to have to lean on neutral. I suspect we'll have to lean on neutral cards a little bit later in the campaign. But for now, we have done what we can. So that will do it for Stella and our upgrades. Now let's move back up top for the tarot reading for the next scenario and wrap this video up. Real quick before we go into the tarot reading, you might see that the experience cost after you look at the upgraded decks is slightly higher. Remember, the level 0 swaps are free in there, so as you follow the decks through or you find the level 0 swaps, just remember that I've got the house rule where I'm letting those not cost any experience. But anyway, now that we've got that minor aside, let's go into the tarot reading for this scenario. So I've got the tarot deck right here. We'll give it a quick shuffle. Alright, we've got the shuffle, and there are 2 tarot cards for the scenario. So let me grab a pen so I can note what... Alright, so first card up we have... is the Tower 16. Each investigator chooses 1 basic weakness in their deck and removes it from the game. Return them after the game ends. On the good side, or if we flip this to the bad side, add a random basic weakness to each investigator's deck. Remove them after the game ends. Oh boy. That's going to be a challenging one to handle. But let's see what the card here is. Here of the Emperor 4. During the first combat test, each investigator performs each round. They get +1 combat on the good side. Or if we flip it, during the first combat test, each investigator performs each round. They get -1 combat. Honestly, I'm inclined to flip the Emperor 4, just because it potentially puts us in a situation to turn on Stella's extra action earlier in the round. Plus, if we end up... Plus, it won't hurt Daisy too much, because she doesn't typically use her combat anyway. When she's using that, when she needs, in the rare instances that she needs to do some kind of combat, she'll either be using her lore or her will on that. But anyway, so that's how we're going to do it. We're going to leave the Tower 16 on its good side. I'll just make some notes here. That'll translate to remove their basic weaknesses. And then bad is Emperor 4. First combat test -1 combat. Just making a quick note of that. And then that will do it for this upgrades video. I'll keep an eye on how my voice is sounding for over the rest of the week. It should hold through our next scenario in this campaign as Daisy and Stella venture to La Bella Luna to see if the house always wins. If I don't think it'll hold, however, the backup plan there is going to be to step back into the background campaign for Hero Realms. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.